given much developmental priority because HH holds for their charges achievement HAMUSONDE. UPND says its alliance partners contributed little to their 2021 victory. And leaders of the opposition on Parliament condemns President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA international troops. And in international news, Rwanda, the construction of the first MRNA vaccine factory in Africa kicks off. And in sports, Zambia Swimming Union President PHIRI calls for support of athletes competing at the World Championship. Join me with the details after this commercial. And other main news in detail. Police in Lusaka have arrested a named suspect of a known house number in Lusaka's Kalikiliki compound who is allegedly sodomizing 2 male children aged 2 and 4. Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale says preliminary investigations revealed that the suspect, who lives within the same neighborhood with the 2 children, had carnal knowledge with them against the order of nature on several occasions between May 2022 and 19th June. Mr. Mwale says the suspect is alleged to have been enticing the children with sweets and jiggies before sexually abusing them in his room. The deputy police spokesperson adds that on June 19, 2022, the 2 children complained of painful private parts to their parents, who later reported the matter to the police. He says apprehended the suspect after being identified by the victims and is currently detained in police custody, while the condition of the 2 is stable and receiving treatment at the hospital. 3 former security guards at Heads Up Security in Lusaka's Chilanga district have accused the company of mistreating them. The 3 security guards have told Camnet News that they were unceremoniously fired on January of 2022 and were not paid their 950 kwacha dues for the said month each. And brother to one of the complainants, who spoke on behalf of the trio for fear of victimization, has called on the relevant authorities to conduct inspections at the said company, as most employees are working without contracts. Meanwhile, when contacted for a comment, company management says the reason why the trio have not been given their money is because they did not exhaust the complaint lodging procedure at the company.
So issue Andrama Iribwanja, Mr. Charles, because this is 4 months for Charles.
This phone call is an indication of the prevailing issue in Zambia's labor force, which is the problem of casualization of workers and illegal termination of employment. Casualization of workers simply means that employees taking on jobs of permanent nature are not given written contracts, which makes firing them easy, as there is no record of the employment agreement. While this is illegal under the New Employment Act, reports have continued, especially in industries and other similar working places. This is the case of 3 employees from Heads Up Security located near Lilaitenof in Chilanga district, who claim that they have been at loggerheads with the company for over 4 months now over their pay. In an interview with Camnet News, brother to one of the complainants, Mr. Victor PHIRI, who spoke on behalf of the trio for fear of victimization, explains that the 3 were fired in January of 2022 without proper reason and not given the 1 month due of 950 kwacha each, which they have been demanding for until date. He explains that the company has been telling them to go and get their money, but no one attends to them each time they visit the company.
He called me and he told me that, no, you tell your elder brother that akabwele pa Saturday tikamupa sendrama zake. So me, I called, the same day I called my elder brother and I told him that hiyo basinyangwe bantumira phone. Ati mairo pa Saturday ukaendo tenga ndrama zako kuma 15 hours. And I told my elder brother that don't go kuma 15 hours because uzapeza ati bazachoka kobeve bazakambata wachedwa. You go as early as 14 hours. And he went that side, my brother. No one who attended to him. So issue and drama ilibwanja Mr. Charles because this is 4 months safola Charles. Imwe mufola eve safola. So nkani ya Mr. Charles ilibwanja last time mupeti nakumana munakamba titiringane imwe na ine babiri. Simamene? So manje, what's the way forward? This is now 4 months manjapa. What's your story manje?
Mr. PHIRI explains that what makes the situation even more difficult is that many are working without contracts. Meanwhile, in a phone interview, Heads Up Security Director, who decided to withhold his name, claims that the three have not exhausted formal complaint procedures at the company.
You know, in security we have it everywhere. If your media supervisor is not able to sort out, then you go to the next. They've not exhausted that, as a matter of fact. So let them come. Let them see me in person. Actually, I'm giving them that privilege to see me in person so that we sort it out. Because at the end of the day, it's about sorting out this issue that is going to help them and also help us.
Stakeholders advocating for labor rights have been calling for heightened inspections of companies to ensure that they adhere to the law. Camnet TV will continue to monitor the story to its conclusion. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Biomedical Union of Zambia President Daniel Mwimba has welcomed the scheduled protest by unemployed health professionals, stating that the wait is long overdue. Mr. Mwimba says his association is disappointed with the Ministry of Health for failing to give feedback to the employed health professional on the recruitment process, despite having a smaller number compared to that of education. Meanwhile, Clinical Officer Association of Zambia National Director HAMUSONDE says protesting is not the way to tackle the challenge and has advised its members not to take part in the protest.
The unemployed teachers and health professions who are scheduled to have a march protest on the 1st of July 2022 over the delay by the two ministries in publishing of names for the recruitment exercise. In a letter addressed to the Inspector General of Police to notify the police about the march, the two groups state that they have noted with concern the silence from the authorities responsible for the ongoing recruitment exercise following numerous postponements of the initial set dates for publication. And the Biomedical Union of Zambia President Daniel Mwimba has welcomed the scheduled protests from the unemployed health personnel, stating that the wait is long overdue. Mr. Mwimba says, as an association, the delay from the Ministry of Health cannot be tolerated any further.
What we would say is that the planned protest, should we say March 1st, is a welcome move. We are in support of such arrangements as long as they are not going to cause any commotion. We know that people have to speak out, and for us, that is one thing that we have always supported, that, Ministry of Health has not shown any organization in terms of how they have been handling the recruitment of health workers. That's exactly what they are even doing at the moment. So for us, we support such initiatives by the young ones, that they want to speak out. They want to show that indeed nobody is satisfied with the process that Ministry of Health has been doing. And for us as a union, we want to support them.
But Clinical Officers Association of Zambia National Director HAMUSONDE is not in support of the scheduled protest and has cautioned all COA's members not to participate in this march.
Dialogue has failed. And if you were to ask those that are calling for a protest, there is no such a report on dialogue and whether government has refused to deploy or not. Of course, they are citing that they are going to protest because of the delayment. Indeed, there has been a delay that we can't take away from them. However, the number that is being looked at, both Ministry of Health and Education, is a big number. This is the first time I think Zambia is making a deployment of such huge numbers. And there are steps to everything that is being done. The whole process was done in a decentralized manner, so protest on the streets, because there are engagements that can still be done, better ways which we can use to look into this matter.
The question still remains, when will the names for both professions be published? Cherish Sibote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Mazabuka Mayor Vincent Lilanda has called on law enforcement agencies to investigate the alleged land scandals involving councillors and senior council officers. Addressing the media Friday, Mr. Lilanda denied receiving any money and challenged anyone with evidence that he got bribes to report him to the police. The mayor notes that no one is above the law, including himself, hence anyone found guilty should be brought to book. He has assured the public that the council will not shield anyone alleged to have been involved in the illegal sale of land. The Mazabuka mayor was reacting to a land scandal that has characterized a bet in which UPND councillors in the district are involved in illegal selling of plots.
Any one of us from the council group, and even management, any one of us has been involved in these issues that are coming out. I think the law should take its course. And there should be no sacred cows. And as councillors and officers, council officers, whoever is going to be involved in these issues, I've communicated even to the new councillors. I think the council will not protect anyone. The council will not protect anyone. There are a lot of happenings here at the council. Even the council proper that has gone missing. The police, I'm surprised, the police, some dockets are still open there. We had some issues where at one time they were supposed to be handled administratively by the council here. But the council said no, handle the police. Up to now, they're still... Yeah, they're not active. The police have just remained silent, reasons known by them. So if there are people who have been involved, if it's this office involved in stealing council properties again, let the police move in quickly.
Chief HAMUSONDE of the Tonga-speaking people of BWEENGWA has challenged government officials not to give much priority in terms of development to BWEENGWA constituency simply because President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA comes from there. Speaking when Minister of Community Development Doreen Mwamba paid a courtesy call on him Friday morning, the traditional leader says there is need to give equal development in all parts of the country in order to promote unity of the nation. And Minister of Community Development Doreen Mwamba says her ministry is working hard in seeing to it that money meant for social cash transfer reaches the right beneficiaries. She has assured the chief that the leadership of President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA is working so hard in meeting the need of the vulnerable people in the country as it is one of the UPND government's agenda.
Social cash transfer to beneficiaries, and also to hear their concerns, to get the feedback from them as to what else they would want the ministry to do for them. And Your Royal Highness, we came here to tell you that we are scaling up on the number of beneficiaries on social cash transfer, and also on other social protection programs under the ministry. This means that we'll put more older persons on the program. We don't want to leave anyone behind. We want all the persons with disabilities the severely disabled to be put on social cash transfer?
I know you how you are. I know the determination that we are having towards the people. That is why God has given you a chance to be a minister of this ministry which needs people, which needs, somebody who has the heart, the love of the people in the heart, which is yourself. I know you very well, Mommy.
The United Party for National Development spokesperson Cornelius Mwitwa has alleged that UPND Alliance members did not play a major role in ushering the party into office in the 12th August 2021 general elections. Addressing the media Friday, Mr. Mwitwa says the Zambian people had already made up their minds to change government. Mr. Mwitwa says comments alleged to have been recently uttered by All People's Congress President Nason Musoni that opposition alliance members should be given positions under the current administration is misplaced.
Expectations from the United Party for National Development UPND Alliance are high, as is the case after any change of government. For the UPND Alliance, expectations are not only from the Zambian people, but also from the alliance partners. 3 months before the August 2021 general elections, the UPND formed an alliance with various political partners, a pact which was elected by the Zambian people with over 2.8 million votes. Excitement of winning the elections has now settled, and it is down to serious business for the UPND alliance 10 months down the line. While some alliance members have been appointed into key positions of governance, others have not. This has got alliance members talking, among them All People's Congress Party APC President Mr. Nason Musoni, who has allegedly been demanding that all UPND Alliance members should be appointed, sentiments he is alleged to have uttered recently. Addressing the media Friday, UPND National spokesperson Mr. Cornelius Mwitwa has charged that UPND Alliance partners did not play a major role in ushering the UPND, as it was the choice of the Zambian people. He asked that the UPND administration did not sign any contract with Alliance members, stating that they will be given appointments once in government.
To say everyone must be in cabinet is demanding too much. Now, if members who joined the alliance, some in June, and 2 months later we went to the elections, want to be in cabinet, what about UPND members who were in this party for 22 years and are nowhere in cabinet or anything? What should they feel? What should they think? What should they say? We believe that society changes when individuals make choices and pursue a purpose bigger than themselves.
Meanwhile, the party spokesperson has also condemned remarks that New Heritage Party President Chalakateka is sexually stabbed, sentiments alleged to have been made by UPND official Mr. William Banda after she staged the lone protest against the high cost of living in the country.
He should be given an opportunity to explain and exonerate himself. The party stands for respecting women. Any statement that has been made that violates the persona of women does not represent the position of the UPND.
Mr. Mwitwa has also defended the recently set prices under the Food Reserve Agency FRA, stating that these are simply transitional and farmers are yet to benefit under the current administration. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Leader of the opposition in Parliament, Brian Mundubile, has challenged government to explain to the citizens the benefit of President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA's international trips. Speaking to the media at Parliament Friday, Mr. Mundubile has alleged that indicators point to the trips not being beneficial to the nation, citing that the cost of living has continued to increase. And Lupososhi Member of Parliament, Msonda Mpakata, has appealed to government to reconsider the decision of reducing food reserve urgency depots from 1,500 to 6,500 kwacha.
While in opposition, President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA promised to stabilize the cost of living in the country once in government. For over 10 months now in office, Opposition Patriotic Front members of Parliament have alleged that the cost of living in the country is worrying. Leader of the opposition in Parliament, Brian Mundubile, is of the view that President HICHILEMA has concentrated on international trips while failing to provide solutions to the problems the country is facing. He has demanded that government should clearly explain the benefits of the presidential trips to the locals.
We think that there's been so many trips, we have not been informed what the likely benefits are, if any. So going forward, we would want to know so that we can evaluate as to whether the money that should be used on trips could easily be added to the floor price for maize and take it to 250 so that farmers can benefit. Or that money could be used for medical supplies, as it were.
And Mfue Member of Parliament, Maureen Mabonga, also added her voice.
The government of the day has not paid much attention. I don't know about you, if you've heard anything that the government has said or any measures that they've put in place to ensure that they arrest the high cost of living on a daily basis when you go to...
Speaking at the same media interaction Friday at Parliament grounds, Lupososhi Member of Parliament, Msonda Mpakata, challenged government to rescind the decision of reducing food reserve agency depots, citing that farmers have been adversely affected.
If you are a listening president, you love the farmers, you are a cattle farmer, equally, please listen to the cries of the farmers. 160 kwacha is nothing. Farmers, at the end of the day, they need to raise some capital. Farming is a business, and Your Excellency, you know that farming is a business. Kindly consider.
Meanwhile, former Minister of Tourism and Arts, Ronald Chitotela, has advised the government to harmonize the decision on the hunting concession license.
And if you read the Wildlife Act, it is not the ministry, it's not the Ministerial Procurement Committee that's awards. It is the Wildlife Licensing Committee that awards.
The case is not different from Chama South Member of Parliament, Devson Mungandu.
Since the tendering process was completed, what if those outfitters or safari operators who were notified and went to negotiations with the CRBs, and indeed the CRBs themselves decide to go to court?
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News in Lusaka.
Residents of Lusaka's Kabanana Maichola area have bemoaned the erratic supply of water in the area caused by increased water pipe leakages. In an interview with Camnet News, the residents say the leakages are suspected to have been as a result of the grading of the Maichola-Kajimonge Road. Meanwhile, Area Councillor Chileshe Mwango indicates that he is alive to the challenge the community is facing and is currently working around the clock to resolve the problem.
As the country aims at attaining universal access to clean and safe water, in line with the Sustainable Development Goal number 6, which focuses on availability and access to clean water, the case is different as water blues have rocked Kabanana Maichola compound. Residents in the area tell Camnet News that the erratic water supply is as a result of water pipes which were tempered on at the time the Maichola-Kajimonge Road was being graded.
Muntu bantu tifunga kumwa manzi ya clean manzi ya taika chabe pansi mapompi siyafika but kutuka konzo postika pani 3 months manzi ya taika social mwamele bana chitete be great road
sibafatira konzero manzi mapaipi ngati yanaboka so yamapezeka mavuto kaiti kumwa manzi adoti apo pena ngoni yapo ino kai ziba kukhala kwa murodi so kulima pena ngo wachita wiwi mwamene omurodi ifeni kumwa chata.
And some taxi operators in the area have explained that the situation has been unchecked for over 3 months.
Paliponse mapesa leakage mutithandizireko kunkhala ndiye boma yathu amene ifetika monzero pakuthandiza pa zonse zamene zimachitika.
Meanwhile, area councillor Chileshe Mwango says the water situation has been a yearly challenge and says he is committed to averting the situation. He says a water aquifer has been identified for the creation of a water reservoir which will connect over 86,000 households.
And to try and mitigate that issue, we've identified a piece of land in Ngwerere area Kapanyambale, which is a neighboring ward. Which is a water aquifer. And currently we have done a borehole, a commercial one, which is likely to be supplying water into Kabanana, Chazanga, and the Fumbero area. But other than that, we are equally erecting 650,000 liters of water.
Mr. Mwango has also assured the residents that his office is ready to tackle the water leakage in the area.
And there has been concern from the members of the public that where there are breakages and there were not water network within especially the Maichora area. And that came as a result of we are trying to maintain, to do the periodic road maintenance during the offset of the rain season. The road became impassable. So we lobbied and organized for a grader to come and at least work on the road, which left the pipes broken. However, I've been engaging the Ochozanga Water Trust manager to come and help us amend or liquidate.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News in Lusaka.
Mutendere Ward 34 Councillor Boniface Chiveka has challenged other councillors to start enforcing the law in communities regarding the problem of indiscriminate waste disposal. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Chiveka notes that while the focus of many local authorities has been on bars and markets, most communities are a breeding ground for various diseases due to garbage. He says the reason why indiscriminate waste disposal has continued in communities is due to lack of determination from councils and its leaders to bring the vice to an end.
I think Lusaka City Council should scale up their game in terms of prevention of diseases, and that is through the public health department, and is very much aware of that issue there, because I personally went and reported that we have so much huge chunks of garbage in Mtendere B section area. And the other thing, I'm appealing to the residents to be more vigilant so that we can arrest one or two and have them prosecuted so that it will be a deterrent, because just a matter of just having maybe a loan garbage one without any penal sanctions on it, it will amount to nothing. So we need to demonstrate that there's a penal sanction where somebody can even serve a custodial sentence just on garbage. Once we start doing that, including those who are, not only those who are dumping, but even those who are sending them, if we are going to enforce the law in such a way, we will find that actually we are going to reduce all the garbage.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more after this.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry. Has so much data.
Mom.
Yes, baby.
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zantel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Thank you for staying with us. We continue with the rest of the main news. The Constitutional Court has declared Opposition Patriotic Front Member of Parliament for Nakonde, Luke Simumba, as a duly elected and reversed the decision by the High Court to nullify his elections. This is on the basis that losing United Party for National Development candidate Simon Simwanza did not prove to the required standards that Mr. Simumba had knowledge of and concerted to or proved the alleged acts of intimidation and violence, in the words of Odfife Kumbi and Nakonde. The court has also held that the UPND candidate failed to provide contingent evidence that the alleged intimidation and violence in the said words prevented the majority of voters from choosing their preferred candidates. According to the August 12, 2021 Nakonde constituency results, Mr. Simumba polled 22,284 votes, while Simon Simwanza of UPND got 16,826 votes.
Before that, the allegation which I was given was that I never went on the radio to denounce violence, as if there was at a particular time that I went on the radio to announce, because you can only announce something that you announced here. So I'm happy that the justice has built, and it means I'm free now, because the people of Nakonde have been subjected to having data for some time. If you can recall that this has affected me a lot, because my seat was notified in November. That was in November. And from that time up to date, we don't have any tangible work that we have done.
In other news, the Lusaka Magistrates Court have declined an application by former Defense Minister Geoffrey Mwamba to quash some corruption-related charges he is facing before court on account of duplicity. In the last sitting, Mr. Mwamba asked the court to remove count 1 to 11 among the 24 counts of money laundering and being in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime, claiming that they are ambiguous. Delivering ruling Friday morning, Magistrate Sanford Ngowola dismissed the application on grounds that it lacked merit and that the charges that the accused is facing before court are not as defective as alleged. Meanwhile, the court has ordered that a Lusaka businessman, Adolphus Mwanga, who is jointly charged with Mr. Mwamba, be separated from the case and be charged alone.
The Specialized Economic Financial Crimes Court has ruled that the 24 corruption-related counts that outspoken politician Geoffrey Mwamba has been accused of by the state are not defective as alleged, hence cannot be quashed, as applied by the accused person in the previous court session. On the 13th of June 2022, during his second appearance before court, Mr. Mwamba, who is a member of the Patriotic Front Party, applied that some of the counts among the 24 he is facing be quashed on account of bad duplicity. His arguments were that some of the counts did not disclose the nature of the offense that he ought to answer, among other concerns. The court this morning, Friday, the 24th of June 2022, dismissed his application, however, did grant one of his applications where he requested that he be charged separately with a Lusaka businessman that is currently charged with before court. Previously, Mr. Mwamba questioned the 24 counts that the state has slapped him with.
5 counts is their count. That's what they think in their heads. But maybe it's only 1 count, mind you. At the end of the day, we are very good lawyers. I think they will be able to produce the accounts to probably with 0. Yeah. So that is not worrying me at all. About the case, let me tell you, which happened when I was Minister of Defense. And they have no facts that I interfered in the procurement of that contract. They have no defense whatsoever, and I don't happen to appear anywhere. But you see, because of what I did, just because I resigned from UPND, you see, just because of my resignation, leaving them out, leaving UPND, that is the problem that I have made. But I can tell you that I'm still strong. In fact, I'm getting stronger.
Mr. Mwamba was on the 7th of June 2022 arrested by a joint investigation team and charged with 24 counts of being in possession of property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime and conflict of interest involving millions of kwacha and thousands of dollars respectively. Among some of the 24 counts that Mr. Mwamba is facing before court, it is alleged that between the 27th of December 2012 and the 31st of March 2013, whilst he was Defense Minister, he failed to disclose interest in writing relating to a contract for a supply and delivery of general-purpose shelter tents for Zambia Army. While his co-accused, Adafas, is said to have been in possession of over 1 million kwacha property believed to be corruptly gained. Both accused persons will appear before court on the 6th of July 2022 for the amendment of the charge and possible plea. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A state witness has testified before the Lusaka Magistrate Court that a 6-day-old nephew went missing a day after a nurse from the University Teaching Hospital at the D Block section refused to give her the child despite a doctor having discharged them. This is in a case in which 5 people are charged with 1 count of theft of a child contrary to the laws of Zambia. When the matter came up Friday morning, Inolesi Mwenya told Magistrate Crispin Hampungani that after several attempts to get the child failed, she was informed by the said nurse that the child was not in the custody of government.
The baby that was reportedly stolen from its mother in May 2022 at the University Teaching Hospital was Friday morning presented before the subordinate court in Lusaka during a hearing of theft child case involving a judiciary officer and 4 University Teaching Hospital employees. In a fully packed court, 45-year-old Inoles Mwenya, the aunt to the child, told Lusaka Magistrate Crispin Hampungani that a sister-in-law, mother to the child, Daliso Banda, gave birth through Caesar, and she was now the one who was looking after the child during that time. The state witness testified that the family was left in disbelief when their 6-day-old baby went missing a day after a nurse from the hospital at the D Block session refused to give her the child despite a doctor having discharged them. In a further testimony, the witness told the court that before the baby went missing, the said nurse had earlier informed her that the child was in government's care, hence they could not get him, and during the time this was happening, the mother was still healing from the operation that she had undergone. This is in a case in which 28-year-old Precious Kunika, a judiciary officer, Nelly Kasolo, a nutrition demonstrator at the University Teaching Hospital, Emily Ho, 37, also a nutrition demonstrator at the University Teaching Hospital, Rebecca Mkandawire, 42, a maid at the University Teaching Hospital, Grace Seseka, have been charged with theft of a child contrary to Section 171A. They are accused of stealing the said baby boy on the 7th of May 2022 from Elina Lungu, its mother. While in the second count, allegations states that one of the accused person, Grace Seseka, harbored the child. Allegations which all the 5 accused persons have denied before court. According to a recent statement issued by the police, it is alleged that 2 weeks after Ms. Kunika, who is a judiciary officer and works at High Court, delivered but unfortunately lost the child, a theft was staged to compensate her for a loss. It is alleged that it was at this stage the said accused person was allegedly assisted to steal another baby from the possession of Miss Lungu. Trial continues in the matter. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Acting Western Province Permanent Secretary Richard Mulianta has charged that Mongo is a growing town which offers immense opportunities for businesses such as the provision of mobile phones and other electronic gadgets in this digital era. Speaking at the launch of a mobile phone outlet by Mobile Champions, Mr. Mulianta says Mongo has for a long time remained underdeveloped in many sectors, including the digital space, hence making this development a milestone towards developing the province. Meanwhile, Mobile Champion Sales and Marketing Manager Relief Mpashi says the investment in Mongo is worth 2.5 million kwacha.
The world has become a global village with the usage of internet gadgets such as phones, computers, among other electronic gadgets. The demand for these gadgets is undeniably growing by the day, with government realization that an independent ministry to look at the development of information communications technologies and science is key if Zambia is to match up to the desired demand both local and at international level. While this is true, many people still face challenges in accessing internet gadgets, especially those in seemingly not so developed areas. Mongo of Western Province is on such areas that has lacked in many spheres, a town that has many opportunities that local entrepreneurs have started tapping into. Mobile Champions, a store with a primary focus on phones, has opened a branch in heart of Mongo at a cost of over 2 million kwacha. The residents could not hide their joy as they flocked numbers to either catch a glimpse or at least buy a phone.
We are happy that technology is extending to Mongo. I also want to address our people. Please, when an opportunity of this nature presents itself, take advantage of the opportunity and benefit from the technology that is involved.
Kuba Mobile Champion baba tusaidize wateni mafoni ya mafoni alutusa mokungata hapa mafoni alutusa kunolofa zalika hande. For example, ingeza maswa byazitaha ukona kuunga foni lwaitusisa kuzibisa bana babo una then nebire mwana na kwa skolo kaufela.
And Mobile Champion Sales and Marketing Manager Relief Mpashi says the company endeavors to support government effort of enhancing the digital space in the country and create employment for the locals.
We thought of bringing cheap phones, cheap mobile accessories that you can access here, because we noticed that people were struggling a lot, moving from here, going to Lusaka just to access cheap accessories for phones and other items. For this, we want to welcome everyone into our store. Feel free.
Meanwhile, government officials present thanked the company for showing Zambians countrywide that Mongo is a destination of choice for businesses, among other things.
What we are witnessing today is one among the many steps that will help us to change the picture of the province. It gives me immense pleasure on this occasion to be part of this celebration. We call it celebration because we are opening this wonderful shop here in Mongo.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News.
A Lusaka resident living with disability has expressed concern over the state of infrastructures in the country, which mostly do not favor persons living with disabilities. Gabriel Imasho says the building facilities in the country, especially learning institutions, have no provisions for persons living with disabilities. Meanwhile, Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities Acting Director General Nicholas Goma says the agency will soon start conducting inspections on public and private institutions to check on the compliance of accommodating persons living with disabilities.
Gabriel Imasho, a Lusaka resident living with disability. Mr. Imasho has every right to enjoy the privileges that come with being called a human being. Some of the rights include the right to quality health care and education. Despite this being the case, most infrastructure developments in the country are not user-friendly to people living with disabilities, as they cannot access most of them. An outcry that Imasho and other people living with disabilities have in trying to access both private and public buildings, especially learning institutions. He had this to say.
Enough ya many tikwiramo ise bantu walimunga person with disabilities. So izapezeka kutati bambiri ma building ni yangono yali na mawe ya kutati muntu olemala akwanisa kungenamo alina wheelchair akwanisa kungenamo yambiri yali chena ma stairs. So zapezeka kutati ulina program na muntu ali pamwamba pa 5th floor logo 7th floor then nima upstairs.
And the Zambia National Teachers Union Public Relations Officer Godwin Maseka has appealed to government to make it easy for persons living with disabilities to access most infrastructure development.
Certain schools are not friendly to our disabled children should not arise. Each and every human being should be given that opportunity to be in school. And we would urge management in all schools in Zambia to ensure that schools become friendly. Friendly in the sense that we must always consider that each and every human being is a potential disabled person, and disability does not choose.
Meanwhile, Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities Acting Director General Nicholas Goma says the agency will soon start inspecting public and private institutions.
Stage, our aim is to provide technical guidance to institutions, so that inspection would not be meant to reprimand. It is hoped that at least after 3 months later, people must be able to comply with those standards that will be provided.
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
International and sports news coming through right after these commercials.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Thank you for staying with us. In international news, Rwandan President Paul Kagame and BioNTech CEOs Uga Sahin launched on Thursday the construction of messenger RNA vaccine factory in Kigali. It is Africa's first of 3 planned projects on the continent and aims to produce treatment against COVID-19 and other diseases by early 2024. In other international stories, the UK's governing Conservative Party has lost 2 by-elections, increasing the pressure on Prime Minister Boris Johnson. The loss of a previously safe seat in Devon in southwest England is being seen as by far the most damaging. The results have also prompted the resignation of the party's chairman, who says his supporters deserve better. Here's a roundup of international news.
Rwandan President Paul Kagame and BioNTech CEO launched on Thursday the construction of a messenger RNA vaccine factory in Kigali. It is Africa's first of 3 planned projects on the continent and aims to produce treatments against COVID-19 and other diseases by early 2024.
BioNTech is researching and developing vaccines and medicines to prevent malaria, tuberculosis and HIV. These diseases are major causes of mortality on the African continent. We have partnered with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to develop tuberculosis and HIV vaccines, and we are developing malaria vaccines.
Rwanda fully supports BioNTech's commitment to power this factory entirely with green energy, and we will work together closely to achieve that.
Africa is the world's least vaccinated continent against COVID-19. Less than 20% of its 1.2 billion population have received 2 doses of vaccine. Tunisian judges have been on strike for 3 weeks. They're protesting against President Kais Saied's decision to sack 57 judges on corruption grounds and claim the leader's move is an additional example of his power grab. Tunisian judges are gathering in all the courts of the Republic, including the administrative and financial courts, and an open strike is taking place in all the judicial facilities. Since Wednesday, some of the dismissed judges have begun a hunger strike. The magistrates are demanding the withdrawal of the 35 decree, which is unconstitutional as it fails to grant the basic right to defend oneself and jeopardizes the independence of the judiciary. The protesters have submitted a request for a meeting with the head of state, but according to them, no answer has yet been given. Kais Saied summoned the Minister of Justice at the beginning of the month to ask for the suspension of the salaries of the striking judges.
The green fields of rural Devon, reliably conservative for years, until now.
The people of Tiverton and Honiton have spoken for Britain. They've sent a loud and clear message. It's time for Boris Johnson to go. And go now.
Because things are so hard at the moment. Things are so hard, and we've had so many years of the current government, and things aren't getting any better. It's getting harder.
By-elections don't always represent the wider national picture. They're often protest votes with a local focus, but nor do they tend to overturn majorities like this one. In 2019, the Conservatives won the Tiverton and Honiton constituency by 24,000 votes, a margin they've now lost, a loss that even Conservative voters saw coming.
I think it's possibly a little bit for change here. You know, look at let's say the Liberal Democrats have done a very good campaign here. They're absolutely full on.
In the current political climate, it's hard to separate the local from the national. People do, of course, complain about public services, about the cost of living, and many say the Conservative Party has taken them for granted, until, that is, their MP stood down when he was found to have looked at pornography in the House of Commons. But repeatedly here, people do also cite national issues as reason for their choice.
Hello there, I'm Wendy Chamberlain. I'm on behalf of Richard Ford and the Lib Dems for the by-election.
I just think with all the recent things, including their behaviour with COVID, there's a lot of people I think that it doesn't sit right with, and I think this is the best chance of getting them, sending a message really, voting Lib Dem, sending a message to the Conservatives that, you know, we're not happy.
And that's why the Liberal Democrats' success in Tiverton and Honiton matters nationally.
After this defeat, some Conservative MPs will be thinking, do I really want Boris Johnson to be leading me into the next election, you know, with losses like this already happening?
For Boris Johnson's party, this West Country seat has delivered a severe blow. The Prime Minister, who narrowly survived a leadership challenge recently, will now worry about his party's core support, as will his MPs. If the Conservatives can lose here, they can lose anywhere. Jonah Hull, Al Jazeera, Devon.
We now get into our sports item. Zambia Swimming Union President Guy PHIRI has alleged that the performance of two Zambian swimmers currently participating in the World Championship being held in Hagley should not be condemned by the public. PHIRI said the Zambia athletes, among them Tilke Pajik or Lee, were not competing to win medals, looking at the caliber of athletes who were competing with but to flying the country's flag. He says Zambia's swimmers cannot compete with international swimmers, looking at how much investment other countries have put in the sport and also considering the kind of infrastructure they use for training. The union president says the athletes use money from their own package to go and compete, and says with the right support the athletes will improve.
Including Zambia, that does not follow that amount of resources to compete at that level. So we felt it's important that we are present, we do the best we can with very limited resources. This event is not funded by government or the taxpayer. It is funded by our federation. We do look for support and get it from the corporate world and from the International Swimming Body, who help fund our athletes to this event. It is very difficult. We would have liked to take more athletes, particularly young athletes who are showing a lot of promise to learn and get experience, but the costing of these things are prohibitive. But we're happy that we're there, we are present. There are 205 countries competing. So to answer maybe a few of the media concerns and concerns raised by the public through social media is yes, Zambia is not on the world stage, is not a strong swimming country. It is not, and we accept that, but it's important that we participate. Zambia does very well regionally.
Well, that sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. BWEENGWA must not be given much developmental priority because HH holds their charges, Chief HAMUSONDE. UPND says its alliance partners contributed little to their 2021 victory. Leader of the opposition in Parliament condemns President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA's international trips. And in international news, Rwanda, the construction of the first MRNA vaccine factory in Africa kicks off. And in sports, Zambia Swimming Union President Guy PHIRI calls for support of athletes competing at World Championship. Before we go, our Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of Leviticus 26, verse 3-4, and it reads, "If you follow my statutes and faithfully observe my commands, I will give you rain at the right time, and the land will yield its produce, and the trees of the field will bear their fruits." Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.